My name is Svava Brooks. I am abuse survivor coach. And so what does that mean? I work with adult survivors of child abuse and trauma. And I work as a life coach, one-on-one, do a lot of video sessions. And I also love to work with survivors in groups. Groups are what I think are where survivors heal fastest. And what do I mean by that? Because trauma isolates us. Trauma in our brain and the impact of trauma disconnects us in so many ways. And so much of the healing journey is about reconnection and coming back to both ourselves and connecting with other people. Groups are a safe place, usually, where you can practice those new skills that you're learning about separating, to separate, your coping because of what happened to you and the truth of who you are, and learning some new skills. And to practice, we really have to embody those skills to move forward into our lives, to take it out into the real world. So groups, I'm a big fan. So let's start here with the definition of mindfulness. What is it? Here it looks pretty simple, right? Keeping one's complete attention to the experience on a moment-to-moment basis in an open and non-judgmental way, right? Simple enough, right? But in this one definition, there's a lot of moving parts. So let's talk about that some more. So what are the 5 components of mindfulness? And we're going to dig a little deeper. So here are the 5 of them for you. The 5 core components. The first one is attention, right? How to pay attention to what is happening in this moment, right? It's not just we're giving our attention to something, but it's actually being attentive and embodied, like feeling, recognizing, noticing, not just thinking by giving our attention through our thoughts, but pay attention to what occurs in this moment. So it's awareness of our thoughts in this moment, physical sensations, what emotions I'm feeling, and these the emotions and the feelings. So that's the one component, full attention. The second component is open awareness. Open awareness. Let's look at this with it's being open and aware without judgment, right? We tend to be very aware of a lot of things, but we always, when we notice things, we don't often notice how we label or judge things that we are aware of or that we see. There's always this dialogue going on in our heads about what we are experiencing. And then for trauma survivors especially, because of our biology and the things that happened to us in the past, we are often very resistant or aware, hypervigilant. Like our biology is defended, protecting itself. And so very often we aren't necessarily open to the awareness of what's really happening. We often interpret what's happening because of our thoughts and because of our biology, that what's happening inside of our body because of our pain or our expectations from the past. So the awareness of that labeling, that open awareness, is it good? Is it bad? And so it's about letting go of labels. So number 3, acceptance. What is acceptance? Again, that is everything to do with accepting. Truly just accepting what's happening right here, right now, without judgment. Accept a current experience as it is and without attempt to try to change it. And again, this is sometimes hard for survivors when we have, and again, this is not about accepting that what happened to you was okay. That's not what this is about, but it's about accepting the here and the now, where you are right now on your healing journey, and you're having some feelings. It's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to express those feelings. So, and when we resist in accepting it, or we want to change it, we create a struggle, right? But with the acceptance, there is no struggle, right? We won't fight it. We won't fight our feelings about, what we're feeling in the moment. Be accepting of it. Like, that's interesting. I'm feeling right. So another important component is that no identification, meaning to not overanalyze or over-attach to it. And there's a difference between, what you're thinking and what you are feeling, meaning like I am sad or I'm feeling sad. When we say I am sad, of course, for most of us, we are only expressing a feeling, but very often we have taken on this identity of sadness. And I think often as survivors of trauma, we struggle with this, and we even struggle with entering our healing journey or asking for help because we fear that we are going to become labeled or associated with being victims, or that somehow it was our fault, right? So remember that what happened to you was never your fault. You were hurt, you were violated, you were abused. That is never your fault. But what we can separate from is what happened to who you are, separate from that event by being present and open and allowing yourself to express and feel your feelings as you are working through them in this moment or on your healing journey. Well, the last thing I wanted to say about that no identification is that not to identify too much with the states that we are feeling, right? Like we aren't our emotions, we aren't our thoughts. Thoughts and feelings, they come and go. And mindfulness helps us when we understand it, and why it's so important to learn just to be present with it and present to it, not be run or controlled by it. We take charge. And that's where the last step, number 5, comes in, the choice. Once you recognize, becoming more aware, mindfulness facilitates you and helps you create a choice. Because we don't let those states, because we're attached to it, take over, right? So it creates this space between that impulse, that knee-jerk reaction, that the way your body perhaps responds in the fight or flight, right? And yes, sometimes we need to work with that a little bit, to really help our body let go of that chronic tension in the body, so it doesn't feed that information constantly to the mind that there's something wrong, something needs fixing. That automatic behavior, that automatic reaction. But mindfulness helps you to create that space, that opening between that impulse, your feeling, your thought. You start to recognize it, become aware of it, and then you have a choice to choose, how am I going to respond to this? What am I going to say next? What action am I going to take? And that, creating these choices, choice is freedom. And this is especially important for survivors of trauma, because for so many of us, for so long, we didn't have a choice. We didn't have the freedom to choose for ourselves, to feel empowered. What do I want? What I want to speak up, right? I'm going to say no. I'm going to set a boundary. And so it was very hard for so many of us to recognize that the abuse is long since past, but we are still living as if we do not have a choice. We do have a choice. And mindfulness can help you bring you back, your awareness, into the present moment, into your body, to the place where you can recognize, wait a minute, yes, this is hard, I'm having a hard feeling, but I get to choose how I'm going to respond as a result of having this new understanding and this new feeling.